Welcome to this demonstration of using Microsoft Analysis Services tools to build an analytical data warehouse. The tools that we will use will illustrate the flow of data through the components of a data warehouse. Let's have a reminder of the major stages. Any organisation will have a number of operational systems that collect or generate data to support the company's day-to-day business. On a scheduled basis, often overnight when the operational systems are less busy, the previous day's data changes are extracted from the sources and copied into a temporary staging area within the control of the data warehouse team. If there are multiple sources, some data transformations may be needed to conform them to unified standards. The new data is then added to the data stars. For example, with new sales records being added to the foot of the facts tables, and any changes to the surrounding descriptors being recorded by amending the dimension tables. Different organisations structure their stars in different ways. Some organisations have a different star for each area of business analysis, so the data updates may get copied several times into each of the relevant stars. The demonstration we are going to follow has a single star database, but has several facts tables that share some of the dimension descriptors. In addition to telling the users that the stars and the cubes are available for use, the data warehousing team will also offer various analytical tools such as reports, dashboards, self-service data drilling tools such as Excel, and data mining systems. The warehousing team will also offer various methods of connecting these tools to the stars and the cubes and will manage the security of these connections. The aim then of this video is to show you the development of a realistic sized data warehouse. All the sources that we use are available and you will be able to download them from Blackboard. But we recommend that you don't try using these just yet. In your assignment you will build smaller examples and then you can come back to this larger realistic case study should you wish. Ideally, you'll find both of the data files that you need already installed on the D drive of your server. But if they're not there, you can always download them from Blackboard. But before we use them, we need to install them into the SQL Server database. And to do this, we will use the SQL Server Management Studio software tool. And then select the database engine as a server type and type in localhost, in other words the local machine, and connect to the server. This software is a management system that allows you to do various things with the SQL Server database, including security, backups, and so on. And if we look, we'll find various systems databases, but nothing else. So, right-click and select Attach, and navigate to the two files, select one of them. The uploader attempts to upload data log as well as the data files, but we haven't downloaded that, so remove that and OK. And we've installed the first of the files. Do the same again, attach, and add the second file, the DW, remove the log, and there we have the two files uploaded. If we were to inspect them, we could look at the tables and see the large number of tables in the relational source file, and then a considerably reduced number of tables in the star version. And within the star formatted version, the tables are already set out as dimensions and various fact tables. So we're now ready to use these. In addition to the data files, you should also find pre-installed on your server some tutorial files that are provided by Microsoft as part of their tutorial series on how to build cubes. You are very welcome to work through these, and indeed, on Blackboard, we have placed the step-by-step tutorial guides that will enable you to work through the classes. But for this section, we're going to jump in and use one of the Microsoft solutions to be able to explain how a cube was built. And by double-clicking on it, we're starting to use the Data Tools facility here, which is really Microsoft Visual Studio in disguise. On your very first use of Data Tools, you may well get a Microsoft Visual Studio message asking you what default environment you would like to use. Select Business Intelligence Settings. So when we're into the project, we will see that there are various sections already filled in. There are connections to the data sources. If there are several sources, we need to join them together, define a cube, and use various dimensions. For the data source, you can see that we've already got a connection to the star version of the source, the DW source. And looking at that in more detail, you can see that it's a connection to the SQL Server on the local machine to the data warehousing version of the database. And it connects successfully. One of the key things that you will need to do whenever you run a Visual Studio program is to enter your username and your password. One of the most common problems you'll have during the entire module is when you get a message saying that there's a non-authenticated user or bad impersonation. If you find that, come to this panel, to the data sources, to the impersonation information, and enter your own user code. And don't forget to select user-specific window. Don't let it use the service account. So, OK that. The data source views, as I've mentioned, are if there are several data sources, how to join them together. The project has already defined a tutorial. We'll come back to that in a minute. And because the cube has already been defined in the project, then it's set up a number of dimensions. And that's helpful for us because we'll be able to reuse those in a minute. Rather than editing the existing cube, I'm going to show how to set up a brand new cube. And this is going to use existing tables from the data sources. We need to identify which the fact tables are, and Microsoft allows us to suggest some, and these are looking for the tables that are primarily numeric. And in our case, we're going to select the internet sales, but not the resellers, and the reseller sales, but not necessarily the sales reasons or the quotas. So we're going to select two of the facts tables. It's now asking us which the individual attributes are for using as measures, and we don't want to select things like keys or product revision numbers. And now it asks what dimensions we want to use, and these are the ones that are connected to the facts tables. It's convenient here that the ones here have also been used in the previous cube, so we don't need to redefine them. And let's rename this to a shorter name, for example, demonstration. And finish. And there we are. We have defined the cube and it's got a number of dimensions. We're now going to populate the cube with data from the sources. There are a number of ways of doing this, but one of the shortest is to click on the green Run button and it will start processing and then deploying the cube. When the cube is finished processing, you can connect to it to investigate its contents. And there are a number of ways of doing this, but one of them is to make sure the cube is selected, go to its browser, and then open Excel. So now you have the cube, you can start exploring it. And because in this cube we have two different measure tables, we have different sets of measures. For example, we could compare the internet sales account, which is roughly 60,000, against the sales via the shops, which is the reseller sales account, which is also roughly 60,000. These two figures are nearly the same. But if we choose to drill into those, for example, by the dates, we can then see that the reseller sales have declined a little, while the internet sales have grown. So despite the fact they appear to be similar volumes of sales, there are definite trends behind these differences. And as well as checking the contents of the cube, you can also check out its storage. It's stored within the SQL Server, but not in the relational database area. If you connect to Analysis Services and make sure that you have localhost as the name, you can then see the cubes that are stored on your database. And this should include the cube that we've just built. We built the demonstration cube. It is possible to browse it here, but actually we don't recommend you explore those tools until much later in the module. At the start of this video we explained that we would show the use of two files. AdventureWorks, containing an integrated copy of several of the data sources, and the AdventureWorksDW, which contained same data as the sources, but formatted into fact tables and surrounding dimensions. And you saw us attach the two files into the relational area. We then went on to use Visual Studio to create a project that took the star data as input and generated a data cube. And that cube got saved into the Microsoft Analysis Services area. And these are the cubes that we would like our end users to be able to access, in our case via Excel. So, in this video we've shown you installing and using datasets. You can download all the files we've used either directly from Microsoft or from copies on Blackboard. Your assignment is going to be a little simpler than the one that we've shown today. You'll build a smaller star. You'll see how to update its contents on a regular basis and how to build a cube out of the star. You've already seen how to explore cubes using Excel. And then in future classes we'll go on to show more design details inside the cube. Thank you for watching this video.